Welcome to EnVision Center News, where we discuss community impact and involvement with today's nonprofit leaders and philanthropists. Thank you for joining us. Today I have Jason Welker here from Oreille Peddlers. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and you've had a busy week, right?
It's been a busy week. Yeah, I got back from spring break Sunday, and it is the first week of official spring operations for Oreille Peddlers, which means we had our kickoff meeting last night with over 70 people. We have our first trail work party of the year tonight. We opened up registration for 4 sessions of youth mountain biking programs, and we've had over 120 kids apply.
Amazing.
So yeah, I'm catching up on a lot of deferred projects this week for sure.
Yeah, you snuck your spring break in probably just in time.
Exactly, yeah.
Your name came up I think in 7 different social circles in the last 3 days. I'm
funny.
Okay, yeah, you're busy. And you're here, so that's awesome.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you
love
for
talking about
joining
what we're
us.
doing in the community, so this is a good place to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how did the kickoff meeting go yesterday?
It was awesome. Yeah, we did it. Thankfully, the clouds parted and the sun came out right at about 5:30, which is when we started. And so we met outside at Matchwood Brewing. Despite the cold spring we've had, we like to hold our meetings outside. And we had over 70 members, a lot of new people, a lot of new members. Often when people move to the Sandpoint area, they look for organizations that, support things that they're involved in. So seems like all the new mountain bikers that move to town join POP. And then the POP meeting is sometimes one of their first opportunities to meet new people. So we asked new members to introduce themselves. We talked about all the crazy projects and programs we have going on. So it was a real fun event last night.
Yeah. Great. And tonight's event now?
Tonight is our first volunteer trail work party. We do them most Thursdays throughout the season from spring through October. Tonight we'll be in VTT, which is on West Pine Street, just south of Pine Street Woods. And we have some very specific projects to do, some trail maintenance, finishing some work that we started last year, taking care of some deferred maintenance needs on the trail from the dry summer we had last year. So yeah, we're going to put these new members to work right away.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they love it, right?
They
What's
do.
worse
Yeah,
than having people volunteer and have nothing to do?
Yeah, trail work parties are the kind of the heart of what we do. Obviously, we do a lot of professional trail building with contractors as well. But without the volunteers, we wouldn't have the labor force to do the maintenance of the over 16 miles of new trails that we've built since 2019. So volunteers do most of the maintenance on our trails. And a little bit later in the season, when we start building some new trail, volunteers will do some of the important labor-intensive components of trail construction as well.
Nice.
But for the most part, our trail construction is done by professionals with excavators and experience, and they have the right training and the right permits to do the kind of work that we're now hiring them to do.
Yeah. So 16 miles since 2019.
16 miles since 2019.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and that's when I got involved with the club. I first volunteered as a board member in 2019, and in that capacity, I helped do some grant writing for the club over that winter. And we did do some trail construction in 2019, but the first project that I was involved in, kind of overseeing, was the Solar Ecstasy Trail, which is up on the backside of Schweitzer. It's actually on Schweitzer property. To this date, this is like the highest alpine trail that we've built. It goes up to 6,100 feet. And the grant that paid for that construction, I helped write. And then I kind of oversaw the project in the summer of 2020. That was about a 1.5 mile connector trail from the High Point Trail out to Ulita Ridge behind Schweitzer, for those who are familiar with that area. And that was just the beginning. We continued working throughout that summer. Pine Street Woods opened that year, so we've built 5 miles of trail in Pine Street Woods. Velatot Terrain was acquired, VTT, just south of Pine Street Woods. We've now built 4.5 or 5 miles in there. And then in the lower basin of below Schweitzer, along Schweitzer Mountain Road, below the roundabout, we've built 2.5 miles of new trail. Most recently, the first green trail in the lower basin, which opened last October.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a busy 3 years of full-time trail work.
How does that stack up to other groups of mountain biking? I mean, that's a lot. It seems like a lot. Maybe it's not. Maybe that's just the trend for these. This is what's going on these years. Everyone's getting really into this.
Yeah. Well, there are certainly other parts of the country where big trail projects have been underway for years. The difference here is that these are all different little trail projects so far. First, it was the Solar Ecstasy project up on Schweitzer. Then Pine Street Woods opened, and we just started kind of chipping away at trails in there. What is it? We're opportunists. When opportunities come along, we pursue them aggressively as an organization to get more trails onto private and public land for the public to use. In the 3 years, we've also been building strong partnerships with private landowners, with Schweitzer, with now most recently the city of Sandpoint, which owns over 4,000 acres in the lower basin and in the Little Sand Creek watershed. So all that land along Schweitzer Mountain Road on the way up to Schweitzer, good 60% of that entire forested basin is city-owned property. So we've become really strong partners with the city of Sandpoint, and we've collaborated with them since last year on the development of a trails master plan. So I mentioned how we've taken little opportunities as they've come along. This Little Sand Creek Watershed Trail master plan is a really big opportunity. And when I mentioned other communities sometimes do big trail projects that take years and they build 4 or 5 miles of trail a year, that's kind of what we're about to embark on. Pine Street Woods and VTT, those two properties together are 260 acres. The city owns 4,400 acres in the watershed, and the Forest Service has another 900 acres, and the Bureau of Land Management has another 1,600 acres, and Schweitzer has several hundred acres. So there's 8,000 acres of property. And I'm by no means suggesting that we're going to cover all that with trails. But the trail plan that we've been working on with the city and with the International Mountain Biking Association since last October does envision upwards of 40 miles of new trails in the Little Sand Creek watershed. So, and it has a proposed phased build out of those trails over about 8 or 10 years. So I think Pend Oreille Peddlers are going to be at the forefront of fulfilling that trail master plan. Now, this plan is still in development. It's still being reviewed by key stakeholders. It's not out available to the public yet. We were able to show just one single map from that plan last night to our members. But in the next few weeks, we're excited. Pend Oreille Peddlers and the city of Sandpoint are excited to share the whole 62-page trail master plan with the public to get feedback from the public.
That's great.
And we're hoping to have it adopted by June this year. And then Pend Oreille Peddlers will probably have tools in the ground by the following morning.
Amazing.
To get to work.
You guys move fast. You move fast. Don't let people think too long. Just go. Do it.
Well, in the trail building world, you have to plan about 2 years ahead because the grant cycle, of course, this is in my dream world, we'd have a billionaire who would shower us with millions of dollars to do all this work, but we really have to beg, scrap, and steal for every dollar we get. There's almost no taxpayer money going towards trails. I mean, it's pretty much all private funds through grants, through gifts, through fundraising campaigns. So, for example, if we want to start the trail work we plan to do this summer in 2023, the grant application was submitted in January of 2021. So it will have been 2.5 years ago that we wrote the grant that we're now going to be spending. And the grant applications I submitted this January, 3-4 months ago, is for construction in 2024 and 2025. So these grants sometimes take over a year to get approved, and then you have another year or two to do the work. And the challenge with that, of course, is that you're trying to plan 2 years ahead of when you're going to actually be doing the work. That's why something like this IMBA trail plan, which actually lays out 8 years of work, is super helpful. And we've never had a document like that before. We've taken the opportunities as they've come. We've said, there's 100 acres. Let's see how many trails we can pack in there this year. And then we've gone out and described it. We've drawn some lines on a map. We've gone out, put flags out, and gone and done the work. That's all fine and good on private property like Pine Street Woods and VTT. But on this public land and the Forest Service land and the city of Sandpoint property, Bureau of Land Management, those stakeholders, those landowners definitely require more planning, for forward planning. And that's what we've been working on for the last several months with the city and with IMBA. So,
Great.
Super exciting.
So speaking of the grant writing process, the fundraising, you guys had a big fundraiser not too long ago. That was put on with you, for you. What a just gift that was. So, of course, we're a trails organization, so we plan, fundraise, design, build trails for hikers, for mountain bikers, mostly for hikers and mountain bikers, but we also do a lot of programming. So we run youth programs, which I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast. We have over 120 kids a year participate in our youth programs.
And we also are an advocacy group. So we advocate with city, state, local government, county government for better bicycle infrastructure, for better bike lanes, for better connectivity, and places for kids and families to ride their bikes close to where they live. And as nice as, public trail systems like Pine Street Woods and the Syringa system are, they're still a mile and a half from the closest neighborhood, basically. Right. So kids aren't realistically going to ride their bikes up steep Pine Street Hill to get to a steep trail to get up, 300 feet above town after school. So one of the projects we've been working on since January with the city is to build a bike skills park in Sandpoint. So that's an advocacy project we've worked on. Our board came and several members came and spoke to city council in January, and the city agreed to write a letter of support for grant applications that POP has pursued in order to pay for and build a bicycle skills park in the Travers Park complex. So people who are familiar with Travers Park in Sandpoint know that there's currently like kind of a dirt bike track north of the tennis courts that was put in over a decade ago and has not really been maintained. I was in there this morning. It's got a lot of puddles and it's got really bad drainage. And kids still have an absolute blast playing in there.
Absolutely.
But what the city has agreed for POP to do is to go in there and actually build a modern mountain bike skills park there that will include hopefully 10 to 15 prefabricated steel and wood bike skills features, like elevated off the ground, rollers, little drops and jumps and things like that. So the No Man's Land Film Festival, which was hosted by the Canada and by a local POP member named Sammy Ryan, who works for a group called Rome Collective. They host women's mountain bike events all over the West. Sammy approached the Canada and offered to put on this film festival with Pondere Peddlers and Kinixu Land Trust being the beneficiaries of the funds that were raised. So Kinixu Land Trust, which is one of our key landowner partners, and POP split the over $7,000 that was raised that night.
That is
so
fantastic.
POP is putting our share of that towards the Skills Park fundraising campaign.
I love it.
So we are, along with some individual donations we've had through our website, we're already $4,500 into our $15,000 community fundraising campaign for our Skills Park. The total budget for the Skills Park is up to $75,000.
Okay.
Because these features we're ordering are actually, they're handmade steel features in Missouri. They have to be shipped here and installed. So that $15,000 local fundraising campaign is a really important match for all the grants we've applied for. We've applied for 4 different grants to help pay for that Skills Park.
I love it.
Again, none of this is taxpayer money. It's all volunteer grants, fundraising campaigns.
Yes.
It's all being provided by POP, our members, and hopefully the organizations that provide us with these grant funds.
Yeah.
So the first fundraiser was, I think, April 1st at the Canada. That film festival raised over $7,000. So we're off to a good start for our fundraising this year.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Really phenomenal.
Yeah.
And how cool that Sammy, was this just her brainchild? She
Yeah.
wanted to do something for the
she's a mountain
community and
biker.
what
She's
she
got
loves.
kids. She
Yeah.
wants to support kids and bikes in Sandpoint. So So and Lauren herself, the director of the Canada, is a POP member and also has little kids who she's already getting on their bikes in Pine Street Woods. Terrific. So, I think the power of having access to kid-friendly trails close to town is that you start to build this community of cyclists at a very young age. Having over 120 kids participate in mountain biking programs this year, 3 years ago, before trails in Pine Street Woods existed, there really wasn't an opportunity. There was just no place for beginners to mountain bike near Sandpoint. Now we have the 5-mile trail network in Pine Street Woods, which is pretty much all green beginner trails. So we have a place to build the future generation of mountain bikers who then, their parents become members. Those kids grow up and they become junior tail gunners in our youth program when they turn 13 if they want to stay involved. Then maybe they join the high school or middle school NICA mountain bike racing team, which is in the Western. We compete in the Western Montana Interscholastic Cycling Association competitions, and there's just so many opportunities today that we didn't have 5 or 10 years ago.
I love
so
it.
First you need the trails, and then you build the community around the trails.
Yeah, and you're relieving parents from having to teach their kids how to bike.
Yeah, same thing. My family is a skiing family, and we learned at a very young age 3 years old, you put your kid in ski lessons. You don't try to teach them to ski. And the same has been true for biking. As much as my family is into mountain biking, sometimes my own daughter, it's hard to motivate her to go ride with me. But if I say, I'm taking you to after school mountain biking today, she is so excited to go because it's her, 10 best little friends who are all going to go rip around in the woods. Yeah. So it's way more cool to ride with other kids than it is to ride with mom or dad.
Yeah. And I saw that you guys have a scholarship program for these kids too.
Yeah. I guess in 2021, the POP board looked closely at our mission and our vision, and we part of our mission statement is to improve access to cycling opportunities in the community. And despite the fact that trails are free to use, the sport of mountain biking is not free to get into, especially during the pandemic when bikes became extremely scarce and bike components just started to get really expensive and new bike prices were going up. And it was almost impossible to find used bikes at that time because the world had a shortage, supply chain issues, and bikes just became super, super scarce. So in 2021, we decided to start offering a scholarship program and trying to secure bikes for kids who might not be able to get into biking because of the cost constraints or other challenges they might face in terms of accessing the sport. So we did our first. We went to some local organizations, including Lighthouse, who's headquartered right here in this building. And the Lighthouse Giving Committee agreed to support this program with a $2,500 grant in 2021. So we used that money to purchase 6 little kid mountain bikes through Bonner County Bicycles. We got them at cost. Ezra and Tim and Dave stepped up and gave us those bikes at cost, assembled them for us. And then in 2022, we reached out to the principals of local schools who helped us identify second and third graders who could benefit from this. So last year we had 6 second and third graders join our programs, free tuition. They were given a bike. They used it throughout the duration of the program. And if they finished the program, they got to keep the bike.
Amazing.
So that's kind of the idea.
Amazing.
So we did that last year. It was successful. We wanted to expand it this year. So last summer, but we realized we needed a lot more money to do that. So last summer, we hosted a big movie night fundraiser at Matchwood and raised $9,000 in one night. And literally the next day, I went to Jenny at Outdoor Experience and ordered 15 Trek mountain bikes.
Wow.
And this time we went with 3 different sizes. So we went with 24-inch, 27.5, which is a adult size wheel. We went with extra small and small. So we now have bikes available for kids up to 12 years old. Cool. Whereas last year it was pretty much second and third graders.
Gotcha.
So we have 11, or sorry, we've procured 15 mountain bikes, and then Lighthouse stepped back up, provided the funding for the scholarships this year. And we opened up 15 scholarship applications, and we've had 11 applicants so far. So we still have 4 openings in our scholarship program this year. And we're working with these families to get their kids into the right program, spring, summer, or fall. And just like last year, when those kids show up on the first day, they'll have a shiny new bike fresh out of the box. And if they complete the program or most of the program, they'll take that bike home, and then they can come back and do a program next year if they want as well.
I am so impressed at the way that the community steps up and financially supports your guys' mission. It's...
But you got to give them fun things to do too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, trail work parties are fun. Yes. We have 2 or 3 days a week. We have free group rides for members. Thursday road rides, Saturday road rides, Tuesday night mountain bike rides, all led by POP members or board members. And when you give people opportunities to have fun on their bikes, they give back and they're thankful and they want to support your mission.
Well, and like you said, I mean, you're gaining all these new members. Yeah. They find you immediately because they're like, how do I get plugged into the community? This is my
And it helps that every trailhead in town has a POP logo and a link to our website. Absolutely. So people know that these are trails that we maintain for you. Please join us and give back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're crushing it. I'm so glad that you are the ED at POP and that you carved out some time to come and talk with us today. I know you're busy. So have a great crew working session tonight.
I will.
And yes, thank you.
Can I promote something though?
Yeah, please.
All right.
Yes.
So
oh gosh.
We did the No Man's Land Film Festival. We didn't. Sammy and Lauren put that on. Well, so last summer we had a premiere event where we showed Bike Town at Matchwood, and that's where we raised our $9,000 for the scholarship and bike grant program. I've been racking my brain and doing research for weeks trying to figure out how can we replicate the success of that night. And I believe what made that night so successful was that it was a premiere event. We were on the calendar for the premiere for that film. It had not been released to the public yet. You couldn't rent it or buy it. You couldn't find it on YouTube. So if you wanted to see Biketown, you had to come to Matchwood to our movie night. Well, just yesterday, actually, yesterday, we found the film that we're going to show this year for our movie night. Right. And I wasn't sure we were even going to do a movie night this year because I didn't know what movie we were going to show. Mm-hmm. But we have now secured actually the rights for another bike movie night. So I do want to announce that, and we'll try to get the word out there. And it's actually going to be in conjunction with a week full of bike activities in Sandpoint. So June 16th, which is the night before the Chafe 150, the 150-mile Grand Fondo, which has almost 500 cyclists participate. Yep. June 16th at the Canada, we're hosting another movie night. And we do have a film secured, and it's called The Engine Inside. And it's a story of how bikes have changed the lives of 6 people around the world. So it's actually a global film. And it's only going to be available to see between June 6th and July 6th this year in theaters. So Pop is hosting one of the premieres for The Engine Inside on June 16th. So that's a really exciting week. We actually have IMBA in town that week. The International Mountain Bike Association will be here that whole week doing design and flagging of one of the trails in the Trail Master Plan, which we'll be building in 2024. And then you've got the Chafe event on Saturday, so we're hoping to have a packed house at the Canada on June 16th.
I don't doubt that you will.
And the funds from that will go towards our Skills Park fundraising campaign. So that'll be our second Skills Park fundraiser. Perfect. We'll also, depending on how we do, some of that might go towards bike scholarships in 2024 as well. Wow. So yeah, that'll be a big one. Save the date.
Yeah, huge. Yeah. Okay, is there anything else? I don't want to cut you short.
No, I think stay tuned. If you're not a member, I encourage you to join ponderaypeddlers.org. See what's going on. You'll get added to our newsletter list. This time of year during the trail season, I do about one newsletter a week. We currently have over 800 members in and around Sandpoint. So that number, as it grows, it allows us to just reach more kids through our programs, to get more families involved in our trail work parties and our group rides. Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff going on in the cycling world.
I printed your calendar out. It's filled.
Oh, you printed our calendar out. Yeah, it's full. Yeah.
I mean, I was going to highlight a few things, and I'm like, you just got to go on there.
Yeah, totally. There's a lot happening. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Phenomenal. Well, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Katie.
All right.
Good to be here.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. For more information, you can go to crecIdaho.com. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you again soon.